My brother just bought his third beach house. Mom announced at dinner, clinking her glass like she was hosting an award show. Now that's success. Not everyone is born with the same drive. Everyone laughed, except me. I smiled politely, pretending her words didn't burn. That's great, Mom. She leaned forward, eyes sharp behind her pearls. Clara, you never had the status for things like that. You've been this way since childhood, always content with less. The laughter came again, louder this time. Even my father smirked. My brother Ethan looked at me across the table, his designer watch glinting under the chandelier. You should come see the new place sometime, he said smugly. It's right on Seabreeze Avenue. Ocean view, infinity pool. Real luxury, not that downtown apartment you're still renting. My nails dug into my palm under the table. He didn't know. None of them did. My husband squeezed my knee gently, a silent question. Now? I shook my head slightly. Not yet. Mom poured herself more wine, smirking. Well, not everyone can have a beach house. I looked up, meeting her gaze for the first time all evening. My voice came out calm, almost soft. Actually, Mom, some of us already do. The laughter died instantly. Ethan frowned, confused. What are you talking about? I took a slow sip of water and smiled. I'll explain after dessert. The air in the dining room shifted, a sudden, heavy stillness beneath the soft hum of the chandelier. My brother's wife, Vanessa, glanced between us, her fork frozen halfway to her lips. Mom frowned. What do you mean, you already do? I smiled faintly. Exactly what I said. Ethan laughed nervously. You? Own a beach house? Please. You can barely keep up with your downtown rent. That one stung, but I kept my voice steady. That's what you think. Mom rolled her eyes. Clara, don't make a fool of yourself. Your brother worked hard for what he has. I leaned back, letting her words echo. I'd worked too, just differently. When Ethan had gone through his crisis phase 2 years ago, he needed a place to impress investors fast. He'd ask me for help. He didn't know the property on Seabreeze Avenue belonged to a silent owner listed under an LLC, my LLC. Every month, his company wired rent automatically, thinking it was going to a corporate investor. The investor was me. And tonight, surrounded by their smug faces, I realized it was time to let the truth breathe. My husband caught my eye and gave a subtle nod. Permission granted. I placed my napkin on the table. Mom, I said, remember that beach house Ethan's been bragging about? She smiled proudly. Of course. What about it? I tilted my head slightly. I hope he's been treating it well. I'm his landlord. The silence that followed was thick enough to taste. For a second, no one even blinked. Then Mom laughed, sharp, disbelieving. Oh, Clara, stop. You don't have to lie to feel important. Ethan scoffed, his grin returning. Nice joke, sis. You? The owner of Seabreeze Avenue? That property's worth millions. I clasped my hands together calmly. 6.8, to be exact. I bought it 4 years ago, after my firm closed its second investment round. Vanessa's jaw dropped. Wait, your firm? You told us you were working part-time in real estate. I said I was working independently. I corrected, smiling. Big difference. Ethan shook his head, laughing, but the sound was hollow. No way. If you owned that place, I'd know. I slid my phone from my purse, pulled up the LLC documentation, and turned the screen toward him. The color drained from his face as he read the company name, Hallbrook Estates, LLC. The same name he'd seen at the top of every rental invoice for years. He swallowed hard. That's you. I nodded slowly. That's me. You've been renting for me for 30 months. I appreciate how punctual you've been with payments. Dad's wine glass slipped from his hand, shattering against the floor. Mom sat frozen, her face pale. You're saying your brother has been paying you? Every month, I finished. Like clockwork. My husband reached over, smirking. Guest dinner's on them tonight. Ethan pushed his chair back, so hard it screeched against the floor. That's not possible, he muttered. You're lying. You set this up to humiliate me. Humiliate you? I raised an eyebrow.
No, Ethan.
I just stopped hiding what you've been too arrogant to see. Mom finally snapped out of her trance. Clara, why would you do something so deceitful? Renting your property to your own brother without saying a word. Because, I said quietly, if I'd told you, you never would have taken it. You'd rather choke than admit I was capable of owning something you envy. Vanessa blinked, still pale. You mean all those renovation requests, new deck furniture, repainting, pool maintenance, were approved by me? I said softly. And yes, every thank you email Ethan sent went directly to my inbox. My father cleared his throat, trying to reclaim authority. Well, that's still improper. Families should be honest about business. I met his eyes, my voice turning sharp. Like you were honest when you used my college savings to bail Ethan out of debt? That shut him up. Mom's lips trembled. You've changed, Clara. You've become cold. I smiled, not bitter, just tired.
No, Mom.
I stopped begging for warmth from people who only hand me frost. Ethan's hands were shaking now. You think this makes you better than us? I looked him straight in the eye.
No.
Just equal. Finally equal. The tension was suffocating. Even the chandelier seemed to hum under the weight of it. Ethan's face turned red, not from shame, but rage. You think you can just embarrass me in front of everyone? I built my career. I earned my success. I leaned forward, my tone low and calm. Then why did my rent checks pay for your mortgage, your vacations, and your Tesla lease? Vanessa gasped. Ethan, is that true? He glared at her, his pride cracking. I didn't know who the owner was, all right? I thought it was some investment firm. It was, I said softly. Just not the kind you expected. Mom covered her face. My God. Dad finally stood. Enough. This family dinner is over. You've proven your point, Clara. Now stop this show. I stood too.
This isn't a show, Dad.
It's a revelation. You raised me to believe success meant obedience. But you were wrong. Success is peace, freedom, self-respect. Things money can't buy, but you tried to measure anyway. Daniel, my husband, stood beside me, slipping his hand into mine. You should be proud of her, he said quietly. Instead, you mocked her for being humble. Mom whispered, trembling. You could have told us. I smiled gently. You never ask. I reached for my purse and turned toward the door. Enjoy dinner, everyone. Oh, and Ethan, rent's due next week. The following morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. Messages, calls, voicemails. Mom, we need to talk. You went too far. Dad, call your brother and fix this mess before it hits the family's reputation. And Ethan, well, his was the only message that made me laugh. You won't get another dime from me. I'm moving out by the end of the week.
Perfect.
I sipped my coffee, looking out over the skyline from my office window. They still didn't get it. This wasn't about money. It was about truth. 2 days later, a friend from the real estate board called. You won't believe this, she said, half whispering. Your brother applied for a new property lease and used your company as a reference. I couldn't help it, I laughed. Of course he did. That night, I got another call from Mom. This time her voice was small, hesitant. Clara, your brother, he's lost most of his clients. That recording of him bragging about owning multiple houses, someone leaked it. It's everywhere. I paused. Then I guess he finally learned that pretending to be powerful always comes with a bill. Mom was quiet. Then, softly, we didn't know you were this strong. I smiled faintly. You never gave me the chance to be. When I hung up, Daniel looked over from the couch. Still think you went too far? He asked. I shook my head.
No.
I think I finally went far enough. 3 weeks passed before I heard from them again. The silence was golden. My work was thriving, my peace unshaken. But one rainy evening, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw them, Mom, Dad, and Ethan, standing like ghosts on my porch. Ethan's once polished look was gone. He looked tired, unshaven, smaller somehow. I opened the door, but didn't step aside. What brings the royal family to my humble home? Mom's eyes welled up. We didn't come to fight. We came to apologize. Ethan avoided my gaze. You were right, he muttered. I built my life on image. And when it cracked, there was nothing underneath. I folded my arms. And what do you want from me now? Forgiveness or another loan? Dad spoke then, a quiet, unfamiliar tone. Neither. We just want to sit down. Maybe eat together. Like a family again. I hesitated. The smell of the rain, the quiet sincerity in their faces, it all stirred something soft inside me. But softness doesn't mean weakness. You can come in, I said finally, but leave your pride at the door. They entered silently. Ethan glanced around my house, the same elegance he used to mock. Mom's voice broke the quiet. It's beautiful, Clara. You've done well. I smiled faintly. I always did, Mom. You just never looked close enough. Outside, thunder rolled. Inside, for the first time in decades, the storm began to calm. Dinner that night was quiet. No champagne toasts, no condescending laughter, just the soft clinking of cutlery and the hum of the rain against the windows. Mom sat across from me, her hands trembling slightly as she cut her food. You know, she began, her voice fragile, when you were little, I used to think your silence was weakness. I looked up. And now? She gave a faint, watery smile. Now I see it was strength. You learned how to survive in a house where love was conditional. Ethan exhaled shakily. You don't have to forgive me. I just needed you to know I was wrong. About everything. I studied him for a moment, then said softly, Forgiveness isn't a gift, Ethan. It's a process. You'll earn it through change, not words. He nodded, his eyes glassy. I will. Dad, who hadn't spoken all evening, finally looked up. We failed you, Clara. We thought love was hierarchy, that one child shining meant the other could be dimmed. But we were wrong. For a long moment, no one spoke. The air was heavy but healing. I set down my fork and smiled faintly. The past is done. Let's just not repeat it. When they left that night, Mom hugged me, hesitant at first, then tighter, like she'd just realized she could lose me again. As the door closed behind them, I whispered to myself, Peace, the one house I truly own.